The Diary of a Certified Psychopath. Off the crank. Simmerinnings. This scandalously unstructured synergy of saddle and hang time, spent tucked in the turbulent slipstream of Coco's supercharged sibling, kicked off with a minor crisis of cardiological coordination, arising from Professor Polar's critically discharged state, and a modicum of Bluetooth blackouts, which, mercifully, only lasted 1 breathless kilometre until a somewhat flaky connection was restored. Sadly, such fleeting parity expired a few elliptical pedal strokes after my rusty avatar had accrued 2 royal blue bars of bot-accelerated bitcoins, for what felt like a tolerably toilsome investment rate, despite monitored beats bordering on threshold's crimson peak, almost a full zone higher than the effort I'd usually exert to crank out 2.9 watts per kilo of strain-gauged power. This metrical mismatch is a typical example of the heart's delayed reaction to the body's aerobic demands, when the former is supplying blood to oxygen-starved muscles during any physically strenuous activity that requires varying amounts of energy. Swapped big thumbs and small texts amidst Yumi's sizable pack throughout 30 flatteringly swift kilometres of lukewarm circuitry, clocking in several hot laps, the fastest of which was a shade below 6 minutes, and boosted me to 12th place on a scorchingly contested leaderboard, with many riders inside the top 10 running at solo race pace, and stowing toes from our obliging clan whenever they happened to drift within range of its momentous draft. Been in, back out. Playing it safe, though rarely straight, with this partially inverted and wholly improvised paraphrase of Monday's deregulated roller derby, around home ground so stomped that most popular sat-nav apps will now cease to function within a single kilometre, then follow up with a message along the lines of, "Sorry, but our network is presently experiencing an overwhelming demand from users who are not only genuinely lost, but tend to travel at least the range of a Fisher-Price e-scooter from their own front door. We therefore kindly request that you rely upon directions from your region's local inhabitants if you are not able to maintain your bearings for the duration and distance of a typical daily shopping trip. According to GPS data we've collected from previous activities, Shoreham upon Shingle is noted for its orientated communities of feral familiars, including foxes, felines, and fledgling herring gulls, who are fearful of airborne travel in severe weather conditions, such as thick fog, torrential rain, or your Gulf Stream's gale-force storms, and will therefore be aware of routes other than those that only an adult crow can fly. Mercifully, my unadventurous expedition was marred by far less discombobulating bluster than has hitherto accompanied autumn's secondary phase, though westering fire, apt to guide the flocks of any world-weary shepherd through a darkened wilderness, and dye their pearly white fleeces with heavenly peach, was more manifest than ever. Rolling ruefully on? As the seasonal equinox dwindles to a dim and distant glow, Earth's stellar sage grows increasingly keen to defer the burdensome duty of enlightenment that tonight our celestial muse rose readily to meet, in full and fairest face, even when sequestered behind spectral stratus veils too dense for any neighbouring luminary to penetrate. "Bah!" exclaimed the darkened keep-left bollard, guarding Middle Road's eastmost cyclepath, that I nearly veered right into, in my efforts to dodge a jay-crawling tabbycat, whereupon it continued, "No amount of reflected radiance from any natural or humanely forged satellite in our solar system can possibly outshine the recessed LED bulb that resides beneath my robust composite plastic cover. whose council-calibrated ambient sensor shall trigger over 200 watts of sustainable energy to surge through its supremely efficient driver and make me visible to sentient creatures with poor night sight. Fortunately, this was the sole encounter I had with smart roadside furniture throughout the spontaneous course of events that unfolded over 20-ish therapeutic kilometres of highly localised trundling around my hometown's sleepy suburbs.